All right. Welcome back to the Last Yard, your NFL podcast for all things NFL this season. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be having a little guest, have a bit of an interview. This is a guy that he rescued me from my darkest days as an NFL fan. I mean, he picked me up, made me back the psycho that I am today. Everybody give a warm welcome to my cousin and probably best friend, Jude Bellera.
Hey, y'all.
You doing, man?
Ben Hart.
You're all right. I'm feeling good. Football season's back.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Of course, we're just going to do a little bit of an interview. I guess let's just jump on into it. I want to talk about your introduction to the NFL. So what sparked your initial interest in the NFL? Was it like a game, a player, a moment?
My initial spark to the NFL was probably my dad. He was always watching the Steelers. And at that point, I was just I was already involved in watching the games and knowing who's on whose team.
I like that. That's how I was,
Yeah.
watching the 49ers games when I was super young with my dad and stuff like that. Is what gets you into the game. So was there a player that really got you into it?
The player that got me into football was Antonio Brown. He was fast. He could catch. He was best route runner.
In the league?
Yeah. Best wide receiver in the league for a time period.
4 or 5 years, maybe?
Yeah.
So at least 3,
No, he was just
whipping the league, man.
Yeah, man, he was crazy.
Do you remember your first NFL game?
I vaguely do.
Yeah.
It was about 2014. The Steelers versus Colts. Ironically, it was Ben Roethlisberger's historic 2-game stretch where he had 500 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
We were wearing the bumblebee striped jerseys and
Jesus
stuff. So
Christ.
it was really memorable.
I hate those jerseys.
I love them.
He loves it. We love that. The first one that I vividly remember, I think it was 49ers versus Falcons divisional 2012 or 2013. But I mean, I'd been watching even before then with my dad, but I was so young, man. I was
I mean, you don't remember your
No.
first.
I was like
game,
5 or
man.
6, but the first game that really took effect on me was probably the NFC Championship game. It was Niners versus
Giants.
Giants. A heartbreaking loss. So how long have you been a fan of the NFL?
Been a fan for 10 years.
Jesus Christ.
10 solid years
And
now.
you're 17, so that's over half your life.
Over half my life I've been an NFL
Straight
fan.
NFL fan, yeah. Let's switch gears. We talked about your intro to the NFL. I like that. I want to talk about how you really got to learn about the NFL, the players, the rules, all the little intricacies about that, So how did you go about learning the game?
Yeah, it was when I was younger, it was really about just watching football. I mean, I would watch it every Sunday and
Live.
Yeah.
You were in the game.
Yeah, I was in the game every Sunday. My dad would have just the afternoon and even the night. We would watch the night games too, Sunday night and Monday night and all that. And we would just follow up on it and just learn all the players week by week and get to know everyone and the rules.
Yeah.
Madden does have, it gives you a lot of knowledge on all-time
Madden
players.
Ultimate Team. All-time players, current players. I mean, that's how I really learned everybody's name, the teams, everywhere they are.
Yeah, it's true.
I'll never forget Madden, 16?
With Odell Beckham
on the cover.
with the one-handed catch.
Yeah. So let's talk about your relationship with the game. So you've played football. How was that?
I have played football. It was 7th grade, and I played for Hobby Middle School. And I did break my wrist pretty badly. Yeah. I broke 2 bones, and it was not the best. There was bad recovery.
Yeah.
But the lows, man. And then
Right.
after that, I realized football is I love watching it. Don't get me wrong.
Can't play it.
Playing it is a whole different thing.
Playing it legit, playing tackle football.
Yeah, it's
not for me.
It's really hard.
Boy, when we get going on the Thanksgiving Bowl, we get out there.
Oh man, I mean, catching everything, but
great times, honestly. So, where do you get your news about the NFL?
I get my news from ESPN, Bleacher Report, X. I get it from NFL Steelers app and Fantasy app.
I was gonna say
Fantasy app
football.
does get you a lot of updates on touchdowns, injuries.
Let's talk a little bit about fantasy, man. What's your relationship with fantasy football?
Fantasy, I've been on it for about 4 years now.
We started at the same time, right?
Yes, and I've won 2 out of the 4 years.
I have won 2 as well.
That's about 50%.
50%,
Still getting up there into the ranks.
Yeah, but man, I'll never forget. Let's do a little story time. I'm never gonna forget this. We were together on one team for a league, and I was like, man, we need to make a change. We were starting to lose games. I had Brees Hall and Amon-Ra St. Brown. This was 2022, right?
This was Brees Hall's rookie
year, so
I'm pretty sure.
2022. I was like, man, let's put these guys in a package. It was Amon-Ra and Brees Hall. For Christian McCaffrey, I told Jude, I was like, God, do I do this? And he said, pull the trigger. bro."
Yeah, I said pull the trigger.
Pull the
I mean,
trigger,
you're not
so
going
I
to get a better
sent
deal than that. I mean,
I send
And
the
the-
trade, and sorry to interrupt. I send the
no,
trade.
you're good.
Trade goes through. I'm like, we've got CMC, baby. Not even 5-6 hours later, Christian McCaffrey is traded to the 49ers. And I was
That was the complete change of the league. I mean, he became RB1,
RB1 from there.
and he
And then
won us the league at that point.
Brees Hall had torn his ACL.
Tore his
next
ACL the
week.
week after we
So
traded.
like it sucks because I love Brees Hall and I loved him when I got him. But man, we made off like a bandit.
Got to
Then.
do what you got to do.
Gotta do what you got to
It's
do.
business.
Business is business. All right, let's switch gears again. Let's talk about your connection with the NFL.
Okay.
You know, what aspects keep you watching every year, even if it's like the player, the strategies, you know, the bang bang game. You know, naturally there's going to be heartbreak every year.
Yeah.
You know, how do you just keep watching? Because I've had my heartbreak, man, and it's tough to want to keep watching this game.
I love the grittiness of the NFL. It's just like the chippiness and like just the energy. It's just really entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, unpredictable. You never know what they're going to do. Love it.
Yeah.
So how do you think the NFL has evolved over time? You know, what do you think changed? What do you enjoy that changed? What do you hate that changed? Stuff like that.
The NFL's changed into more of a passing league,
Oh, yeah.
and it's really entertaining this way, honestly.
He's not wrong.
I mean, I do love running backs, and I think they're worth what they're worth.
Yeah,
But
I think running backs deserve a little more
But-
change.
the passing league, it's more entertaining. There's more touchdowns. There's more long plays. It's really entertaining.
Man, watching Anthony Richardson, that was like 58 yards in the air,
60.
60 yards in the air, that bomb today.
Yeah,
I
it
was
was-
like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Seeing something like that is just,
It gets the fans all hyped
I mean,
and
there's
all
nothing
that.
like it.
But one thing that I wish the NFL like kept was like the original like rules,
You know,
like
I
where
hate
you
the
get it at the
penalties.
20,
Oh, yeah.
and they changed the kickoff this
Let's
year.
talk about that dynamic
is-
kickoff. What are your opinions on it? What do you think?
The dynamic kickoff. I don't really like it. I'm opposed to it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's an XFL thing. I mean, that's not the NFL.
Dude,
I mean,
yeah, that's
I get you're reduced like the contact and all that.
after what happened to DeMar Hamlin, after what happened, there was a 49ers guy that was
Yeah.
sent in an ambulance to the hospital off of collision, off of kickoff. Like I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you're signing up for.
It's
when you
football's football. I mean, it's violent. I mean,
I
that's
mean,
what the NFL should be.
it's a collision sport, man. I mean,
Yeah.
like I need to see the grittiness again. You know, I grew up I'm not that old, but I grew up in an era where you're seeing Patrick Willis lay a guy out and he's not moving, man. He damn near killed this guy.
Yeah, and I would see James Harrison knocking
Oh
people
my
out.
God. Ryan Shazier.
Ryan
laying
Shazier was a
people
hard
out.
hitter.
Man, Dante Whitner. I mean, he was laying people out. You know what I mean? I was watching
Yeah.
that. I see Ray Lewis just knock people out of games, and I hate that guy.
I mean,
you
that's
can't deny
that's
it.
like the energy and the violence that like
You
the
don't get
NFL
that.
brought.
You don't get that anymore unless it's a mean rivalry game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like last game like that for me was the 49ers versus Eagles.
That had a
When
lot
they-
of
tension.
tension,
They
yeah.
came in all black. The Niners, they all came black Air Forces, black everything, man.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't like the dynamic kickoff because you get it at the 30 now.
Which is just like you might as well just get rid of the kickoff.
I mean, when I used to watch football, it was at the 20,
Yeah.
and then they moved it to the 25, and now it's at the 30. Yeah, what are they going to do next? You're going to get it at the 50?
50?
I mean,
Are you just going
only
to get
half
the
the
pity points?
field.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
man. You keep the integrity of the game. And speaking of integrity of the game, how do you feel about all that, man? You see the Chiefs are getting these calls that should not be
yeah.
called.
I don't like the penalties that are being called. I mean, the refs are being too soft at this point.
We're not affiliated with the NFL at all. So if we're going to rip on that company, we're going to rip on it. You know what I mean? It's atrocious to see what this game is becoming with these referees. My
He's,
worst is the taunting penalties, man. Let these players
Let the
do what
players
they
show
wanna
their
do.
emotion sometimes. I mean, you want to see that rivalry beginning, and that's where you
Taunting.
get that energy
Where
from.
you get it from.
I mean,
Yeah.
if they're not able to express their emotions, I mean, what are they doing wrong? They're just hyped up. They're like excited for the play. I mean,
No,
I don't get it.
okay. Let's start our rant right now. Let's
Yeah,
switch gears
we're
again.
ranting.
Yeah, let's get to your personal preferences, your insights, man.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite player? I know your favorite team is the Steelers.
Yeah,
Let's hear that favorite player.
of all time.
Time.
All time, it's a tie between Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. Yeah, those two, that duo
Dynamic.
growing up was just the best I've ever seen.
Dynamic at its finest. It was
They're one of the best duos of all time, stat wise, and even like
eye candy, you know,
watch-wise.
watching them
Eye
play
candy,
is just
yeah.
like, oh, I mean, I'll never forget when I watched Steelers versus Cowboys. They get up
Yeah.
to the 30, their own in the red zone, man. Fake spike, Ben Roethlisberger drop back. We see Antonio on that go route,
Yeah.
drops a touchdown on him. Man.
That was shades of Dan Marino right there.
Danny boy.
You've never seen it other than that.
Nope.
I mean,
You know, you got a favorite memory from the NFL?
my favorite memory was definitely Steelers versus Colts. We're blowing them out at this point, and Antonio Brown receives the punt, takes it back, and he jumps on the goalpost, hugs it, grabs like the security officer's like hair and falls back and gets flagged, and he gets fined the next day. And I was talking to my friends about it all throughout.
It was dope.
All throughout elementary.
That's so funny, man. Honestly, Jude, I don't really have any more questions for you. We're running out of time.
Okay.
But there is one thing I want to do.
What's that?
I think you know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what this podcast is really going to be. We have enough time to do our predictions.
Weekly predictions.
Weekly
Stay
predictions.
tuned every week.
Everything you'd ever need is going to be here at the last yard. All right? Let's get started, man. Thursday Night Football. We got Bills versus Dolphins in Miami. Going to be a good game.
If it's in Miami, I'm going to take Miami.
I have Miami. For the sake of being different, I think I'm going to take the Bills.
That Miami Heat, dude, it's hot.
It's hot.
And those players.
And the Bills are from up north.
Yeah, they get dehydrated and it's hard to play.
I'm taking Miami Dolphins. Or should I say the Miami 49ers?
I am taking the Dolphins.
They've got
week
all
two?
of our players.
Week
Week two. This is week 2, by the way.
Yeah,
Week
week
1
two.
has already passed.
Yeah.
Next game. Starting off with my beloved 49ers versus the Vikings.
I'm going to take the 49ers.
Yes.
Even though Sam Darnold was looking very hot.
He's making Justin Jefferson look like a good fantasy pick this year.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, man, I'm not going to pick him because he's got Sammy D as his quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm going to still take the 49ers. They're Super Bowl contenders. And
By a wide margin. I think they're covering the spread. I don't know what the spread is, but no matter what it is, I think they're probably going to cover.
I think they're going to win by at least 10 points.
Yes. Next up, we got a Super Bowl rematch. Seahawks versus the Patriots. Awesome Super Bowl, by the way.
I hated that Super Bowl.
I love it.
But I'm going to go with the Seahawks for the safe pick. Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm taking my Pat McAfee take right now. The New England Patriots are going to take that win, not because I'm biased. No, I think they've got a hot hand. Jacoby Brissett looked very good. Ramondre Stevenson looked good. They had like protection. He had protection. Next up, we got Giants versus Commanders. Little interdivisional.
I'm going to take the Commanders. Jane
Commanders
Daniels is electric. I mean,
is
he
mine.
is dynamic at this point.
I've got the Commanders all the way. Chargers versus Panthers. Chargers
I'm going to take the Chargers. The Panthers will be the number 1 pick again.
this year. Next up, I think might be a sleeper pick for game of the week. Saints versus Cowboys, man. Saints look good.
Both hot teams right now. Saints dropping 47 points week 1.
With that being said, I still am probably going to take the
I'm
Cowboys.
still going to take the
I think
Cowboys.
they're
I
just
mean,
too strong of a team.
They lit up the Cleveland Browns.
Colts versus Packers. I got to take the Colts.
I'm going to take the Colts.
My boy AR.
Jordan
Love's
Love
out.
is out 3 to 6 weeks.
Prayers up to Jordan Love. That was not me celebrating. That's me saying like prayers up to Jordan Love.
Yeah,
It's
Malik
awful.
Willis is just not a starting
He's not that
quarterback
guy.
yet,
Sadly.
and I don't know if he ever will be.
Browns versus Jags. Taking the
Browns
Jags.
versus Jags.
Taking the
I'm
Jags.
going to take Jacksonville Jaguars because the Cleveland Browns offense is just very slow.
Watson does
They
not.
might pick up during the year, but
Chubb isn't back yet, is he?
no, he's on the PUP.
I didn't get to watch that game today. But Jets versus Titans. Got to take the Jets.
I'm going to take the Jets. The Titans do not look that good. I mean, Tony Pollard did look good.
Tony
but
Pollard looked all right.
Will Levis is just not.
Just rookie mistakes. When you're not a rookie, he's like,
Yeah, he's just inexperienced at
Yeah.
this point. I mean,
I get it. He sat behind, who was it, Tannehill?
Yeah.
Yeah, not the greatest quarterback to sit behind.
yeah, not really.
Bucks versus Lions, which I think will probably be game of the week.
Yeah, this is going to be a very good game.
I've got the Lions.
I'm hot take. I'm going to take the Bucks.
Oh, I respect that. Baker's out of his mind right now.
Baker Mayfield is playing like a top tier quarterback in the NFL.
Raiders versus Ravens. I got the Ravens.
I'm going to take the Ravens. The Raiders, their quarterback situation is just not
Atrocious.
the best. And the Ravens are a good team.
They're just too good.
I mean,
They're just too good.
yeah.
Rams versus Cardinals. Haven't seen the Rams play yet.
Yeah, but I'm gonna take the Cardinals.
And I think I'm going to take the Rams. You know what I mean? They've got the weapons. They got Puka. They've got a great running
They have
back.
Kyron
They
Williams.
got
Yeah,
Kyron Williams. Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams. I
I
don't
just
think the
think
defense is going to put up with it.
I just think the Cardinals. I think this is the game Marvin Harrison Jr. really starts to heat
He
up.
only had one reception, man.
He had one catch for 4
And he was
yards.
butt
against
naked
those.
half the game. AFC Championship game rematch: Bengals versus Chiefs. It's going to be the Chiefs. I hate to say
I'm gonna say the Chiefs. I mean, the Bengals are always slow to start heating up.
it. Takes them a
during the
second.
season. Takes them about week 5, 6. to
Yeah.
Get started. I mean, they lost the Patriots today.
That's rough, man. And Jamar
Week
Chase
1.
didn't practice at all.
Yeah, they're still
rough.
gonna have to warm up.
Yeah,
I
there's-
mean, they
there's
didn't have
more.
T. Higgins either.
No.
So
Steelers versus Broncos.
I'm gonna take the Steelers.
I'm going to take Steelers. I don't think the defense is going to be
The
able
Broncos are very inexperienced. I mean, they have a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think our defense is just
I think you guys have a very good secondary, and I mean, your D line's obviously stacked. So
yeah.
It's going to be the Steelers. Sunday Night Football, man. Bears versus Texans, which I thought was going to be a good game, but Caleb did not look good today.
He's gonna have to take a lot of time to warm up, I think.
That being said,
because
Texans.
I'm gonna take the Texans, yeah.
CJ Stroud is just too
CJ
damn good.
Stroud is I think he's gonna be a front runner for MVP this year.
I really could see it with Stephon Diggs being there now. 2 touchdowns for Diggs today.
And Joe Mixon,
Mixon?
looked incredible.
I
I
know.
mean, he had 30 touches.
That was one of my best picks in fantasy football. Was
He
Joe
had
Mixon.
like 30 touches and 100
Cracked that up some
yards. Yeah.
Let's cap off this week. Monday Night Football, man. Falcons versus Eagles. I'm going to have to take the Eagles on that. Hate them.
I'm gonna take the Eagles. I mean, they're a very good team.
Yeah.
But
They're just
the
ready.
Falcons, I will predict they will make the playoffs.
See that. But that is all the time we have.
That is it. And stay tuned for weekly updates and weekly predictions.
Yes. Thank you, Jude.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all later.
All right. Welcome back to The Last Yard. This is your NFL podcast for all things NFL this season. My name is Kevin Horton. I'll be your host, and I'll be giving you all the news you could ever want this entire season for the NFL. Today, we're going to be having a little bit of a short podcast. We're going to be speed running the winners and the losers of last week. We'll give you a couple of injury reports and fantasy updates as well. So let's just jump on into it, man. We have Thursday Night Football, the season opener, NFL kickoff, Chiefs versus Ravens. And I do want to say, it was a good game, but boy, was it plagued with the amount of penalties that were in this game. I couldn't, honest to God, I couldn't understand it. I've never seen that many illegal formation calls on one team that were not called on the other team. You know what I mean? This man, I believe it was Juwan Taylor, was lined up illegally every play, or was false starting every play, and nothing was called, but we had everything called on the Ravens. And mind you, I don't like either of those teams. I have no affiliation with either of those teams. It was rough to watch as an NFL fan, but I do think we might see a new tight end 1 in Baltimore. I think Isaiah Likely is going to take that job from Mark Andrews pretty soon. This guy, Mark Andrews, you know, he's a great player. He's got great hands. He can block, but man, this last season, he was hurt a lot. This offseason was a little bit rough for him, so I do believe we might see a new era. No pun intended, in Baltimore. Speaking of new era, there are a lot of concerns over Lamar Jackson's workload. You know, he gets a lot of touches, but that's something to keep an eye on. I bet you fantasy owners are happy about that, though. I think those teams will be going far, obviously. They will be. I think they'll be the leaders in their respective divisions. Let's move on for Friday Night Football, something we don't really ever see. Actually, we never see it. If the NFL is going to be having games in different countries, they need to have some sort of quality control for these fields, because this poor Jordan Love, man, is about to be his technically his sophomore year. He's out 3 to 6 weeks with an MCL sprain. You never know how that'll affect his game from here on out. I've got to say, stop having games in other countries if there is no quality control for these turfs. But the Eagles defeated the Packers. Neither team looked that great. Neither quarterback really looked that great. I guess we'll just see what happens as the weeks progress. No other major injury updates except for Jordan Love, which that's good. Sunday football. Saints defeat the Panthers. Panthers are trash. All right, they're going to be the number 1 pick again this year. No injury reports. I have nothing else to say. It was disgusting to watch. Next up is Vikings versus Giants. Giants are trash. They're going to be the 2nd pick overall this year. Daniel Jones is a thief. cannot believe how much money he stole from that organization, and I will never understand why they let Saquon Barkley walk in order to sign this guy. Moving on. Patriots defeat the Bengals in shocking fashion. Gerard Mayo is a good head coach. That's all I can really say about that. I don't think they're going to be a great team, but it was shocking. You know, the Bengals look slow, but they always do at the beginning of the season. Something to be watching out for, Jamar Chase's contracts. He had $30 to $35 million a year on the table, $90 million guaranteed, and he turned it down because of the guaranteed money. He wanted all of his guaranteed money to be paid out by 2027 or earlier, and the Bengals couldn't do that. So he turned it down. So that's something to keep an eye on. Next up, we have Steelers versus Falcons. A really, really weird game, man. Steelers won off of only field goals, no touchdowns. 6 field goals to be exact. I don't really know. It was just a weird, weird game. I thought Kirk Cousins would be way better. He just wasn't. Honestly, you move on. You take that L on the chin and you move on and you see what happens. One thing to keep track of, the Steelers do plan on starting Justin Fields over Russell Wilson for week 2. So if you're a Russell Wilson fantasy owner. Next up, we got Texans versus Colts. An awesome, awesome, awesome game to watch. I think Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud are going to be MVP frontrunners very, very soon, if not this year. It looked awesome. Great game. A lot of deep balls. A lot of angry runs from Joe Mixon. 2 great fantasy teams, honestly. Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman. Those are just on one team. And then on the Texans, you got CJ Stroud, you got Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, who was out of his mind this week. Honestly, great games, I will say. Next up, we got the Bills beating the Cardinals. Nobody was really shocked about that, but I was shocked that the Bills didn't beat them by more. One thing to watch out for is the injury to Josh Allen's left hand. However, he said he's good to go. He's been cleared. He's going to be all right. It's his non-throwing hand. He's going to be good. Next up, we got Bears versus Titans. Mediocre game. I'm not going to go over it too much. You know, Caleb Williams and Will Levis didn't look very good. We'll just see what the next couple weeks have to offer from them. Dolphins defeat the Jaguars 20-17. Neither team looked that great. Nothing too crazy, except for Raheem Mostert has been ruled out versus the Bills. So keep that in mind, you fantasy owners. Next up, Seahawks defeat the Broncos. It was a mediocre game, honestly. I got 26-20. It was a decent scoring game, but the quarterbacks looked bad. The running backs on the Broncos looked horrendous, but Kenneth Walker looked great. So that is definitely the upside. Next up, Chargers defeat the Raiders. Man, that was fight night. It was honestly disgusting to see. All the fans were fighting, the players were fighting, but that's fine. It's the love of the game, I guess. Raiders might be the 3rd overall pick this year. They look awful with that quarterback room. I feel bad for Devontae Adams. Save my man Devontae, get him out of there. Chargers, we'll have to see if they look good. Don't really know. A little bit of an odd game, but again, we'll see as the season progresses. It's only week 1, you know what I mean. Next up, the Cowboys demolish the Browns. Cowboys look great. Their defense look great. Offense look great. But that's regular season Cowboys. We have to get to the postseason to really see what happens. Browns look terrible. Deshaun Watson is terrible. He's got another sexual assault case on his hands. I don't even know what to say about that man anymore. We're just going to move on. Buccaneers defeat the Commanders. Nobody expected any different. That boy, Baker Mayfield, is a top-tier quarterback playing out of his mind. Chris Godwin is playing well. Mike Evans is playing well. It was a good game. Jaden Daniels looked all right. You know, he's probably just shaking off all the nerves, all the rust, everything like that. So we'll see what happens with him. Next up, Sunday Night Football. Lions defeat the Rams. It was a great game. Terrible for fantasy. Puka Nacua has been ruled out for the next 4 weeks minimum with a knee injury. That's something to keep an eye on for all you Puka fantasy owners. And to cap off the first week of football, we have the 49ers versus the Jets. The 49ers looked absolutely amazing, demolished them. There really was no competition after the first 2 drives. O-line looked great, defense looked great. The Jets look like they might be okay. A lot of ticky-tacky injuries, but I don't think there's anything major except for Christian McCaffrey. Keep an eye out for him. He might be out for week 2 versus the Vikings for the 49ers. But Jordan Mason looked great, so go pick him up if you have Christian McCaffrey. That's all I have. for today. I hope that was informational for you. I hope you got your fix in for the NFL, and we will be right back on Tuesday to do the same exact thing for week 2. Stay tuned. Take care, everybody.